In Chapter 8, which is our final chapter of the textbook, and I know you all are woohooing about that. Anyway, we're going to look at how Word allows us to protect and prepare our documents for distribution. Now, in Chapter 7, we did look at how we could set up our documents in workgroup activities so that we could insert comments in a document, we could track changes, we could compare documents, and also combine documents from multiple users. We did all that in Chapter 7, but in this chapter we're going to learn how to protect the integrity of those shared documents. We also have the features or the options to limit formatting or editing changes that other users might make in your document. And then finally we'll look at how we can prepare documents for distribution. And we're going to begin by looking at the objectives that are found on page 291. You'll notice here that we'll look at the restrict formatting and editing feature within Word that allows exceptions to some of the restrictions within a document. We'll also learn to protect a document with a password. We'll learn to open a document in different views. We'll learn to modify our document properties. We'll also learn to inspect and encrypt a document. We may inspect documents to see if there are headers and footers and comments and things that we may not see on the surface, but this inspection tool will allow us to go through, and Word actually checks different types of features that are being used within a document. We'll also learn to restrict permission to a document. We'll learn to create and apply a digital signature. We'll insert a signature line. You see on some forms signature lines that have been created. We'll also learn to mark a document as final and ultimately read-only. We'll check a document for accessibility and compatibility issues, and that's specifically in terms of versions of Microsoft Office. If you're using Word 10 and you're going to be passing it on to somebody else who's using Word 2007, you may want to consider running a compatibility test to see if some of the features, options that you've used in 2010 will actually show up in 2007 versions. So it's a great tool to kind of filter through those and at least alert you to some of the features that you may be using in your document that the person that you're passing it on to who's using an earlier version may not have access to. And then finally we'll look at managing versions within Word. If you'll look on pages 292 and 293, you'll see the model answers that we're working towards in project, all the projects throughout Chapter 8. In the first project, we're going to be looking at a document, opening a document, and restricting formatting and editing options within that document. And then we'll also insert a password so that it's not so easy to go back and turn off that restrict formatting and editing feature. And then we'll also look at allowing exceptions to some of the restrictions that we apply to the document for specific users. So just some thoughts here. They talk a little bit about protecting documents. When you share documents with individuals in your organization, there may be times when you want to protect your document and limit the changes that can be made to the document. For example, if you may create a document containing sensitive or restricted private information that may need to be protected and made and created as a read-only document, and apply a password to it so that individuals can only view that document. They can't actually make changes to it. So we're going to learn how to do that. In addition, as I mentioned before, we are going to learn to restrict some of the formatting that goes on within a document as well. And so we're going to begin in Project 1 by opening up a file called TEC RPT, and I've already renamed it as Word Level 2 Chapter 8 Project 1. And in this document we're going to look at restricting formatting to only Heading 1 and Heading 2 styles. So the user can only come in and apply Heading 1 and Heading 2 styles throughout the document. So to do that, the Restrict Editing feature is found under the Review tab. So we can go to the Review tab in the Protect group, click on Restrict Editing, and that brings up the Restrict Formatting and Editing task pane on the right hand side. And within that you'll notice several different categories here, and we're going to take a look at all of these. The first one, we are going to look at the styles, as I mentioned before, we want to limit formatting to a selection of styles. And in the settings hyperlink, this will give us an opportunity to limit which styles that we want to apply here. So first of all, if you'll notice, checked styles are currently being allowed. So all these within this document, you could use any of those styles. What we want to do, first of all, is deselect all the check marks. I'm going to do that by clicking the None button. And then we're going to go through and select Heading 1 and Heading 2 styles. So both of those are going to be checked and selected. I'm going to click OK out of that. And it's saying the document may contain formatting or styles that aren't allowed. Do you want to remove them? Yes. Okay. Now, to further that, to complete that, we're going to go through and place a password upon this. So a user coming in and opening up this document, all they would really need to do is go back into format restrictions and click a couple buttons, and then they would be able to apply additional styles. So to keep them from doing that, third area here, are you ready to apply these settings? Yes, start enforcing protection. And so then at this point you can apply your password, and in project 1B that's on page 297, the password they're suggesting is formatting. And then you also need to type in formatting again to confirm it, and then you can either press enter or click OK. Notice in the task pane now it says the document is protected from unintentional editing. Available styles, if we want to look in there for just a minute. The clear all option, the normal option, and then heading 1, heading 2 are what's available to us. Okay. We'll close out that for just a minute. And then what we're going to do is go to these various side headings and main headings and apply heading 1, heading 2 styles. So I'm going to select the first line here and go back to the Home tab. Notice when I click on the More Gallery, only these two styles are available. So we're going to apply heading 1, and then Overview, all these other side headings, Research and Development, these will all be heading 2. Okay, so I'll just click on heading 2. Now all the side headings have the heading 2 style applied to them. Okay. Alright, I'm going to close out of this for just a second. And then if I wanted to make a change to the overall styles, if I go under Change Styles button, go to Style Set, I can apply the formal style to that. Heading 1, whatever. It says the following quick styles could not be updated. So it'll change the ones that can, and if not, well, we can click OK, but it's going to change the ones that it can, but the other ones it won't change because those are protected and we can only use heading 1, heading 2 styles. Okay. Now, to remove the password, okay, we've applied a password. Typically at this point you would save it, close out of it, pass it on to your coworkers. We're going to just shift gears real quick here, and they're going to ask us to remove the password protection. So again, I'm going to go back to this Restrict Editing task pane. We're going to stop protection, put in the password that we used before, which is formatting, and now we can go in and change our styles back to what we want to, or get it back to the original. Okay. Alright, now we're going to apply another type of restriction on editing, and this one is we're going to apply a restriction so that only comments can be added to our document. No other type of editing can take place. Track changes, all those filling in with other types of formats you're not going to be able to do. The only thing that we're going to allow this user to do is to add comments. So to do that, notice the second area here, second section, there's an option for allow only this type of editing in the document. So if you click on that, notice now it's set at no changes, but if we choose comments, that allows only comments, only this type of editing within the document. And then obviously you'd want to enforce by applying a password. And the password, let's skip over that, just we'll click OK to that. Alright, now to actually apply this, some of the things you can look at here, notice the track changes option is not available to us. Compare, a lot of these options within our document now have become dimmed. so they're no longer available to us. However, the comment feature is available to us, and we are going to try to insert a comment in the overview section. We'll just choose this second paragraph here, and we'll insert the comment. I'm just going to click on New Comment, and the comment that they want us to include is at the top of page 299. Let's include additional information, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea that we can add a comment without any problem, but we can't do some of the other editing type features, can't use those features with this restriction being applied. And again, it's only good if you have a password applied. I know they said it was optional, but if anybody knows how to use Word, they can go in and remove the restriction, and then they can edit however they want. Okay. All right, and then to stop the protection, you can just click on Stop Protection, and then we can close out of the Restrict and Editing Format task pane.